Have you ever spotted one of those little mistakes in a movie? A continuity error or some historical goof? Well, what if you could take that tiny mistake and spin it into a brand new, completely original short film, all generated by AI? That's the wild idea behind a project called ComfyUI-Goofer, and today we're going to break down exactly how it pulls it off.
Okay, this one sentence right here, it's basically the entire magic trick laid out in plain sight. And we're not talking about just one AI model doing one thing. No, this is a complete automated creative assembly line. It starts with a random movie mistake from IMDb, and step by step, it transforms it into a finished video with its very own unique score. It's a fascinating peek into a new kind of creative automation.
So, to put a finer point on it, what exactly is ComfyUI-Goofer? At its core, it's a fully automated pipeline that turns those movie mistakes into AI films. But here's the kicker, the part that's really important. It all runs locally, right on your own computer. You don't need any API keys, you don't need to pay for cloud services. It's like having your own little self-contained AI film studio powered by all those little mistakes hidden in movie history.
And where does it get all this inspiration? Well, from a surprisingly big pool. This system pulls from a curated list of 424 different movies, spanning from, get this, 1939 all the way up to 2024. This means that every single time you run the process, it's starting from a totally different place, making each short film it generates a complete surprise.
All right, let's pull back the curtain and see how this all comes together. Think of it as a creative assembly line, a tiny automated film studio running on your desktop that turns raw text into a finished film.
The whole process follows 6 key steps. It starts by fetching a goof from IMDb. Then it cleans the text, and this is a super important step we'll come back to in a minute. After that, it generates a cinematic prompt, renders the video clips, composes a unique musical score, and finally, it stitches everything together. Boom, you've got a finished film. It's a really logical and, honestly, elegant workflow.
So who, or maybe I should say what, is doing all this work? Let's meet the AI crew members, the specific models that are making all this magic happen.
The 2 stars of this show are LTX-Video and MusicGen. Think of LTX-Video as your cinematographer. It takes the text prompt and it shoots the scenes. And MusicGen, that's your in-house composer, creating an original score. What's so clever here is that the score isn't just random. It's based on keywords from the movie's plot and the specific goof. So a car chase might get a driving rhythm, while a tense scene gets something more atmospheric. It's really smart. Now, as for the software you need, the biggest piece is LTX-Video, which is a pretty hefty 9.5 gigabyte manual download. But the other key models like MusicGen for the music and another one called Flan T5 for processing text are handled for you. They just download automatically the very first time you run the workflow. Now, you might be wondering about a few things, like copyright and content safety. Generating art based on existing art raises some pretty big questions, and the creator of Goofer built in some very important guardrails to address them.
The first guardrail is this thing called the Goofer sanitizer node. Before any text gets turned into a video, this node automatically goes in and strips out all the copyrighted material. Character names, actor names, even brand names, they all get replaced with generic descriptions. For instance, James Bond becomes a spy thriller. This makes sure the final content is totally original and not just a copy.
The project also takes content safety really seriously. There's a mandatory 2-stage filter. First, a keyword block just automatically drops any goofs with obviously explicit or graphic stuff. But then, for the borderline cases, a second AI model acts as a judge. It reviews the text and decides if it's appropriate for all audiences. And the developer's really clear about this. This filter cannot be disabled. It's all about making sure the tool is used responsibly.
So, are you feeling inspired? If you want to try running this AI film studio for yourself, let's quickly look at what you'd need. Yeah, this kind of local AI generation requires some serious hardware. The recommended setup is a high-end GPU with at least 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Think something like an RTX 4090. But it is possible to run it on a card with 8 gigs of VRAM like an RTX 3060, which definitely keeps it within reach for a lot of hobbyists out there. And the software foundation for all of this is ComfyUI. It's a free, powerful tool that lets you connect different AI models together, kind of like building blocks. Goofer isn't a standalone program. It's an add-on, a custom node that just plugs right into ComfyUI. This is what makes such a complex process accessible to anyone in the community who has the right hardware.
When you just stop and think about that transformation, it's pretty incredible. We've gone from a simple, forgotten movie mistake just data sitting on a website, to a completely new piece of art. It's an amazing example of repurposing existing data in new, creative ways. And that leaves us with a fascinating question to chew on. What other hidden data sets, just like these movie goofs, are out there just waiting to fuel the next wave of AI creativity?